What's up, guys? It's Tim Kraut for the Gutter Growth Podcast. It's been a minute since I've been on a podcast, but I have April Dodson with BidSlot. And how you doing today, April?
Hi, I'm good.
So me and April met at the Gutter Summit, and she was one of the vendors there. And so let's talk a little bit about BidSlot.
Okay, so I position BidSlot as a sales center because all day long we answer the phone, quote and close the deal, work your current customer database. That's really what our magic is in BidSlot. We're completely customizable, which sets us quite a bit far apart from other like agencies per se. Lots of them have systems that you have to incorporate with, and we really do it exactly the way that the business owner wants. But I come from a background of owning a commercial kitchen hood cleaning company for 15 years. So that's my experience in the like pressure washing industry. It's how we got into working with all of the home service businesses. And we ran a widely successful commercial kitchen hood cleaning company for 15 years. BidSlot's technique started after we started our hood cleaning company in the basement. I was trying to think of how I could help my husband grow the company. And I just downloaded the yellow pages closest to the zip code closest to our home. And then I started setting appointments for him to go bid the hoods. And then he would bring the quote back to me and I would follow up to close the deal. And so that's where BidSlot was born. We've done this twice in we started a hood cleaning company in St. Louis, grew it, merged our company with a larger company, sold it, signed a no compete, moved to South Carolina and did that same thing all over again. And so we definitely feel like BidSlot has a proven technique of like growing and then selling.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I thought it was awesome. That's why I hired you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing it for Christmas lights, starting a little bit earlier to kind of hit commercial stuff in January, February, March. Can you tell us a little bit about how you handle it with Christmas lights?
Yeah, so with Christmas lights, it is a good idea to start this time of year. Actually, never stop, because when you start earlier in the year, you're going to be able to go after some of the people and types of businesses that make those decisions much earlier in the year. Example, parks, recreation, cities, municipalities. They normally get the quotes between now and April, and then they'll present it to the board in May and make a final decision in June. And so you've got to get your quote in there and then start building that relationship this time of year. Now, it's never too late to get started, though. We've had people sign up to try to get the low-hanging fruit in October to December, and somewhere in there is that one that makes all the sense in the world. And so you just have to, it's a numbers game. Not every appointment works out, but the more people you get in front of, the more chances you have to sell. So there's no two ways to think about that.
I know I'm doing it pretty aggressive, starting off with like 1,000 calls per month. Generally, what kind of response would someone normally get off of 1,000 calls? Like how many appointments booked?
Yeah, so you should get anywhere between 30 and 45 appointments with 1,000 calls a month. The difficulty level is higher than when we do it for hood cleaners, for example. For hood cleaners, you don't even have to be there technically for us to take a look to give a price. With the lights, I mean, if the person does step out, I would certainly still leave my card, get their card, and then follow up. And I would probably just, a lot of the people that do holiday lights, they have a software that lets them show you what the house looks like or building looks like with lights on it. And I would probably take that approach if someone had stepped out. But off 1,000 calls, you should get 30 to 45 appointments. With like window cleaning, hood cleaning, carpet cleaning, like all of those things, they each have their certain level of difficulty, which means that some are easier and some are harder.
And you do I know that I using it for lights, but like a gutter company, it would work out good for them because you could relationship build with property managers, builders, roofers.
Oh
that
yeah.
thing. Have you done any of that?
We've done a ton of that. We do it every day. So we do referral partnership type meetings as well, just like you described. And so if the person we're working with doesn't have a home office, or it is a home office and they don't have an office outside of their home, we normally set up the meeting at like a local Starbucks or something like that. And we literally will just be like, the meeting's normally here, and we give the agents maybe like a few different spots based on where the person we're talking to would like to meet. And then when we set an appointment, or if we send a hot lead would mean that they wouldn't agree to an appointment, but we feel like it's something you would want to see and want to know. So we give you an instant alert. It's not an appointment, but it's like, sometimes it's even a current customer and you left your jacket there and they
Yeah.
want to let you know, so you could get a hot lead like that as well. But yeah, so our goal is always appointment setting, but we also can handle things where we tag it as a hot lead, and that means that we don't give you the day and time, but we give you the days and times to meet that person there. So our business owner, the person we're working with, is the one that chooses the way that they want to do it. We can schedule Zooms, we can do live transfers, we can do set appointments, which means you're actually going to meet with someone. We can do hot leads, we do referral partnerships, and all kinds of different things, really.
I know a lot of these guys that come to me, they're just getting into the business and they don't really have they don't really have the money to do a huge marketing budget with like AdWords or Facebook ads. So I always kind of guide them to, making calls and building relationships. And, I always tell them, if you can call 1,000 people in a month, if you only have like a 1% response and get like
Yeah.
10 relationships out of that, that would
Sorry.
be pretty huge for a gutter company. And, but it is a lot of work to actually get on the phone for an hour a day and knock out 50 calls.
And do follow-up calls. That's where it's gold. Because you don't want to just make one call attempt and they tell you to call and ask for Tim, but tomorrow at 2. And even if you miss tomorrow at 2, at least we got your name, and then we continue following up until we get an appointment set or whatever the end goal is. And so our packages start as low as $300 a month. Each campaign has a 3-month commitment. And if you pay all 3 months at one time, you get a pretty big price break. You got $300 off of your package because you paid all up front.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that takes it down to almost 75 cents a phone call.
Right.
And so we do like, if it's not always just one call attempt, and it depends on what you have us calling. So for example, if we called an apartment complex, sometimes we just reach someone and they're like, call back for Samantha. She normally is in after 11 a.m., just an example. And then we have all of that information, and we will make a second call attempt. And then even again, if she's not there, then we would just continue following up until we finally got her. And we don't do all that in one day. We do what we call pleasantly persistent. So because we want you to get the business. So we're not
Right.
like dialing someone 5 times in a day ever. It's really like, the way that it works is, for example, you are going to be in call rotation minimum of 10 hours a week up to 14 hours a week. That's the norm for 1,000 call campaign. So we can reach our monthly goal. However, sometimes we exceed the monthly goal and sometimes we don't hit it. But the thing is, we will continue calling until we reach the number that you purchased. So that can happen with cold calling sometimes. And certain industries, we offer a guarantee. There's only 3 types of industries will offer a guarantee of a certain number of appointments. It's hood cleaners, power washing companies, and window cleaners. And they have to be okay with restaurant appointments.
With what?
So with restaurant appointments, it's
Okay.
not the only thing that we'll call, but restaurants have to be the main thing in the database in order for there to be a guarantee. And so for hood cleaners, of course, that makes all the sense in the world. I think in like the entire 23 years I've been doing this. I think that there's only been one person that was a hood cleaner, one company that was a hood cleaner that did not want us to call restaurants. And it's
Wow.
because they were so well established. They only wanted to go after colleges, universities, private schools, and then public schools.
So just bigger facilities.
Yes, and so when someone switches it up like that, there would not be a guarantee. We're paid by the call, just kind of like what you purchased. Holiday lighting is a lot harder to call for. Permanent lighting is harder to call for than hood cleaning, window cleaning, or power washing. And so we set certain levels of life difficulty based on those criterias. And because we've been doing it so long, I can give a pretty good idea of like what we will be able to realize with your campaign. And I'm normally pretty close with with the numbers that I give you. We do have, like, I actually was just on the phone with a client that went all in for 6 months. And he just used us 6 months. So we're thinking 2025. And we are at 68 phone calls per appointment for him. One of the hardest campaigns that we're doing. Like, it's hard. It's a managed IT solution. So see, we do a ton of different things.
Yeah.
Normal for managed IT solutions is going to be 75 to 125 phone calls for one appointment. So we're exceeding our goal, which is so exciting.
That's not bad. Like, I tell everybody 1%. Like, if you get 1 out of 100, I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty
You're
good.
making 50 calls a day, 5 days a week.
Yes.
For 4 weeks, that's 1,000 calls. You have 10 relationships.
You're going to win with a lower budget and a higher return rate with cold calling next to anything else. At least with my company. There are companies, of course, out there that charge thousands and and they make you make a 12-month commitment and all kinds of stuff. I think we're pretty easy to do business with. I've always tried to pride myself on that. We do want it to work for you, and then we want to work with you forever. We're not doing it just for one time at all. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a rocky start when you're cold calling and we dial it in. That happened with the managed IT company that I'm talking about. The first 2 months, we were like, whoa, what does this feel like? Why aren't we getting as many appointments as we thought we would? We narrowed in our message, we narrowed our contacts, and then here we are. We're exceeding our goal. So it does take time.
So you're kind of able to fine-tune things.
Absolutely. And even if you had us like pull a certain category, for example, and restaurants would be a good example. Sometimes when I'm working with a power washer, gutter cleaner, window cleaner, they say they're okay with restaurants, but then when we get into it, they do not like restaurants. And so they're like, we want to take restaurants out of the mix, and that's okay. The reason why they normally sign up for the restaurants is because they're so worried about that guarantee. But almost always on a per call campaign, we set more appointments than we do on a guaranteed. And the reason why is if you were a hood cleaner, power washer, or window cleaner, and you were okay with restaurant appointments, you could be on a guaranteed campaign. The smallest package is 15 appointments for $400. That's just an example. We stop when we get to 15 appointments, and then we wait for the new month. And then if you were on a per call campaign, it most likely only took us about 230 phone calls to reach 15 appointments. That's how much easier it is than like holiday lighting or power washing or permanent lighting. So see, if you were on a per call campaign, we wouldn't stop till we reached the 400 calls. We would probably set 18 to 30 appointments for you off of 400 call block. So I try to tell people not to get caught up about that
with the guarantee.
Yeah, because the per call campaign, you're going to win. We're on the phones for you, and we don't stop till we reach the number of calls. There has never been a company that hired us that we did not set appointments for. So, there's that.
Yeah, this would be huge for gutter guys. I mean, they should call property managers, even real estate agents, builders, roofers if you want to. Roofers aren't really my favorite, but they make good referral partners.
Construction companies.
Yeah, construction companies.
So also something that is easier for us to call to and often says yes to an appointment is assisted living and nursing homes. They all have gutters. The maintenance guys love talking to people about either their equipment or like what's going on, the building and things like that. And those appointments are normally pretty solid. And
Probably
like,
pretty big buildings.
yeah, and they're really big buildings. They have to stay in compliant. They cannot just let their gutters overflow with debris because the state would say something, about that, because they have to go through all of these, hoops and stuff to stay open, and they have so many inspections on so many different things. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe get them on a reoccurring thing.
Yes. Yeah, and then also show deficiencies and maybe gutter replacement, which I would think would happen more than half the time, which is a bigger job.
You said you had a couple other programs that you were coming up with.
So I do. In 2014, when we started doing the virtual office services, answering service, virtual office, I quickly found out that software was going to be a big deal. And when you start looking in answering service and virtual office type software, especially answering service, it's extremely expensive. I mean, like, $10,000 a month. And that doesn't include the minutes that you would use and things like that.
Oh, wow.
And so a long time ago, I had partnered into an answering service called AnswerWorks. I sold that a few years ago, hadn't done anything with it for a while. I kind of lost control. And we moved everything to Texas. So I'm only telling you this because when we started it, when I partnered in it, they were using Salesforce, but this was when Salesforce was like brand new. And so it was like way different than it is now. And it's definitely not an answering service software. There were so many things that I noticed immediately were wrong, that you couldn't fix or change with the software. And that's when I realized, oh gosh, we're going to have to use something else, or else we're not going to, like, in our minds, remember to remind these technicians that a call came in. I'm kind of talking about like working with funeral homes and HVAC people, because they have to have like a tickler system to where there's a certain time that they have to respond in. And if they don't respond, we have to start calling them. We call them so many times. And then if they don't answer, then we have to call their supervisor. So like you have to move it up the ladder till you get, no matter what, someone on the phone, and you never stop till you get someone on the phone with their company. Well, Salesforce didn't allow any type of alert at the time. I'm sure it does all those things now. So I let my partners know we needed to look at software. As soon as we started looking in software, we realized, well, we're only doing like 10,000 a month in billing. We can't pay 7,500 for software a month, And so I'm like, oh gosh, there has to be a better way. Another reason why I created the software was, if you hired us, this was like right when cloud-based software started becoming a thing. We used to handwrite your directions like on this like form that we would give you, and you would never really know exactly what you need done every day. So we would perfect that over time. But the problem with that is every day we'd be printing stuff, stacking it up, and then at the end, before we'd leave, we'd scan it and email it over to you. Several problems wrong with that. If we did something wrong, you're not going to be able to get a hold of us because we were just getting off, and that's why we scanned it and emailed you.
Yep.
Also, it takes a lot of trust. So like the people we were working with, they would have their phone ring, their phone and ours, so they could see everything happening. And they would literally call in and be like, did you answer that phone? It's like, I'm still on the phone with your customer. They would literally want to sit with the phone where they could hear us, and then want to know everything we just did. And it was like the biggest pain in my side I've ever had. And I thought I was going to die. And I knew there had to be a better way. And so I had one of my friends at the time who was a developer build my first VA. And VA means virtual assistant. And so I just call it VA software, like virtual assistant software. And so we launched the VA in 2015, and we've not looked back since then. It's just been amazing. I have moved from some developers ours, which at first was like really scary because it was custom built, but it was built so well, other developers knew exactly what to do with it. So praise God, because that could have been absolutely horrible. We've made 100 improvements, and we're getting ready to launch what we're going to call Efficiency HQ. And so what it's going to allow you to do is track every single thing happening in your office. Every phone call that comes in, every email that's sent out, every text message that's sent out, no screen recording, just full data, because nobody has time to go look at someone's screen record for a 6 or 8 hour shift. You
So
only
to
do
say like
that
the words that were said?
everything.
Yep.
Everything. So it's basically like your one-stop shop for everything that you would do in your office. You could even use this for your salespeople. In your salespeople, you can come up with a tracking system. You're allowed to duplicate tasks, keep them on a dashboard. You can't complete them till they're done. You see exactly who completed them, and everything. It's phenomenal. There's actually nothing else like this out there on the market for virtual assistants. And when I first started doing this VA stuff and I hired a couple people in the Philippines, I did have them record their screen. And then over time, I was like, why am I having them do this? Nobody here can go back and look at these recordings. So I just had them stop. And then it's a trust thing. But if you're like a business owner that you don't technically have a lot of time to train your person, and you have to like quickly show them what to do, and you're running out to the field, so you're not bitten, out there like doing business and things like
Yep.
that. You really don't know what they're doing in the office until 6 months down the road, when nothing's been done the way you want and you don't understand why. You kind of know it's your fault, and then you kind of, what a waste of money is really what it comes down to. The VA software is going to be super affordable, and I'm going to really sell it to like agencies, any small businesses, even medium-sized businesses that want more of a system to really know when should they hire someone, or where, sometimes you feel like my phone's ringing so much, I'm going to hire another person. What if it was only like 3 hours a week that somebody was really actually on the phone? And that's truly the case. The business owner a lot of time is thinking of phone calls as revenue, as far as like, we brought in 15,000 this week, I need another person. They don't make data driven decisions because they don't have data like that.
They don't have something to measure it.
Yeah, they have nothing to measure it. So that's one software, Efficiency HQ. We're going to launch that. Probably we're not completely done with our licensing stuff yet, but the software is ready to go, and I could do a demo, which is so exciting. It's actually like, while we're talking right here, being moved over to its own domain off the staging site. So I'm like so excited. And then, so in September of last year, I had launched Group Grabber to work in Facebook groups for our clients. And by feedback from some mentors that I have, they were like, could you do this in LinkedIn groups? And I'm like, yes. And that's a completely different type of client than my Facebook client. And so we completed our LinkedIn model. It's been tested, tried, and true. So that's going to be on the Chrome store by the new year. It's on the Chrome store right now, just working in Facebook groups. We're going to replace it with 2.0, and it's going to have Facebook and LinkedIn, or you could do Facebook and just LinkedIn.
What does it do for you in the groups?
That's what I was going to tell you. So it basically, if I wanted to pull every single group in Spartanburg, South Carolina, I can do that with Group Grabber. It puts all of the groups onto a dashboard, and then it allows you to read all of the group rules. It shows you how many posts the group gets per day, how many people are in the group, so we can find your like Gucci group that's going to have the people you want in it.
Right.
And we'll delete off, groups that don't make sense for you. There's always a lot in your area, like all kinds of weird things. Like, so we normally go after the people that have the most posts per day, the highest number of members, and each package like includes a certain number of us posting, and then what we call profiling. Profiling is where we take the post that we made on your Facebook page and then we share it in a group, but we don't stop there. We connect it to a software that you have access to that's also BidSlot's system. And we are building you a list that you would never get any other way than working in Facebook groups. And so anybody that likes, tags, comments, or shares, we try to get their phone number and their email from them. And then we put that into your database. And so we also then try selling them, whatever the end goal is. Maybe you would want an appointment. Maybe you're like, try selling them whatever it is. And so we try to hit that goal for you, and you get all kinds of reporting, and you also have access to the dashboard. And we prefer you to make April Dodson an admin of your Facebook page, but then also we would prefer to log into your Facebook, your personal Facebook page, as a verified person,
Yep.
legit page, not a burner page or anything like that. And then we start, you'd see all of the notifications. So you'd see everybody like, tag, comment, sharing, and then you're just going to see it connected to BidSlot's system, and you're going to see the way that we work it for you. We don't ever stop working for you when we're working in the groups. So what I mean by that is someone that liked it last month, tagged, commented, shared, whatever. We are continually working on them, but we're also not overzealous and too much, because we want to win the business for you. So we kind of get like, we take a look at your social media, what you've done in the past. We make either anywhere between 1 to 20 posts a week for you. It depends on what package you purchase.
Right.
And so then you can still post in your group as well. Like if you have a social media manager you're extremely happy with, we would just make a couple of our own posts, or we could even use posts that your social media manager worked. And then that would mean it would open up a little bit more time for us to work in the groups for you.
Yeah, a lot of people are sleeping on the groups. Like, you could definitely get a lot of business out of it. I know a guy that pretty much got all his business that way, and he had one or two trucks running full time.
Yes. Yeah, groups is where it's at. In 2017, Mark Zuckerberg put his focus on Facebook groups and communities, and you can still see groups and communities evolving, as you've seen with those new community chats, page chats, and things like that,
Yep.
group chats. And so they're constantly still working, to try to bring people together, whether it be business, it could be medical, it could be personal, like some sort of thing that you have in common with someone. But when you think of working in groups, think of going to a networking meeting on steroids, because you're in hundreds and sometimes thousands of people in one group. And so if you have your messaging right, you're going to get likes, tags, comments, and shares. And
Yeah.
so all of those people that like, tagged, commented, and shared, if they're not a friend or family member, and even friends though will buy from you, but mainly family member, then we're working them and we're trying to get them to the point of wanting a quote from you and wanting to get sold. And so we can sell it for you. We can also just book you an appointment. We can do whatever your end goal is with that.
So obviously there's different packages, but what's a good starting point on price as far as
so let me tell you, I told you I just launched this last September.
Yeah.
Every single person that purchased it from me purchased the 550 plan. Nobody went up a tier or down a tier. I haven't sold one do-it-yourself one yet. And so there is a $99 download, and it's $99 a month. And so the first time it's a $99 download fee, and then it's $99 if you think you can manage this yourself. You do get a dashboard, and access to the whole system to do your posting out of and things like that. But every single person that hired us for the 550 plan. That includes 1 to 2 posts per week. And then it includes us profiling each one of those posts up to 10 times in groups. That also includes us following up to try to close the deal for you. There has been some areas where we did group grabber, where we got 63 appointments for someone in 1 month. But
Wow.
then there was also someone that did not have an established page, built a page only because some social media company kept their page for some reason or another. And so they couldn't get it back. I don't know why. They created a page just for working with BidSlot. They gave it 4 months and we didn't get one lead for them. And I think that it's because their page had basically like 5 people that liked it. And I was telling them, try to get as many people, and everything like that. But so the results have varied, but I would certainly think that that was like a page type thing, because that's the
Yeah.
only one we basically did like a 6 company like case study. They're the only ones that didn't get leads from us. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I think that would be worth it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because I mean, that's about 10 to 15 hours a month of our time for 550.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
No
that's
one's
a
going to do that on their own.
no, nobody has the time and nobody has um the talent. They don't really, they think, oh yeah, sure, let me know how I can help you. That's what everybody does. And then if that person doesn't message back, they never go back and look at it. So we're staying on top of it. And then we're
You're
working it
nurturing the
through.
leads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for the LinkedIn version, LinkedIn is going to be like when you're more likely more established. I wouldn't really start off in LinkedIn unless I had a lot of money for my budget. And the reason why is because you're going after a much higher level of clientele on LinkedIn. Like
Right.
one deal pays for BidSlot for 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you could be talking to somebody that manages 100 or even more properties, right? And so we work in the LinkedIn groups as well. But if you're a smaller company, like I'd really say like under 2 million, I would probably be working mainly in Facebook. But if you were doing maybe over 500,000, I'd say you'd probably maybe dabble in LinkedIn as well.
So do you feel like LinkedIn is pretty good for like property managers?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good for property managers. It's also good for like C-level executives that are that you never know you're in front of, and they're like, we just talked about this in our meeting. That's what it's all about. Like staying in front of your potential customer.
Yep.
Because it's always about timing, right? Like when you meet with someone, they may have that in place. And then, if you stay in front of them 2 months later, that person could have not answered the phone, or went out of business or whatever. But yeah, so I think that it's a new age way of marketing. And so it was super exciting to work with the company, with Group Grabber on Facebook. And it was a holiday lighting company
Hmm.
that we did this for last year. We got 63 appointments for him.
Wow.
And if we would have been cold calling, we probably only would have got, I mean, most likely in like the 1 month, maybe, I don't know, 8 to 15 appointments for him
Was that
with back.
The LinkedIn one?
No, it was Facebook.
Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah.
Was that like a lot of residential stuff or what?
Yeah, and
Yep.
see, even though you're a business, you have to think. For example, we have a group called Boiling Springs Residents, and so anybody that owns a house in Boiling Springs is in that group. That's on Facebook or whatever,
Yeah.
and so they're all business owners or homeowners and residents in certain cities. So that's the perfect group for you. And then also, like Operation Grow Spartanburg. So we open up the groups, we take a look at it, and we read the group rules, and we allow spots in the software, Group Grabber software, that
Hmm.
allows us to tag things like, for example, I know that Growth Vault isn't what it was like when Josh Latimer owned it, but um, Growth Vault's rules technically say you're only allowed to post a sales post on Friday. Nobody follows that anymore. But when Josh was part of it, I'm pretty sure they stuck to that.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, that doesn't mean we're not in there working for you. we change it from, call gutter, whatever the company name is today for a free quote. We change it to like, did you know on December 17th of 1970s? So information, something funny, engaging, whatever, we try to get them engaged so that we get likes, tags, comments, and
That
shares.
way it's not always just asking for a sale every
Not
time.
at all.
Yeah.
We'll switch it up like 276 ways, like so polls, featuring you as an owner, featuring your favorite staff member, your trucks, like all kinds of stuff.
Are there a lot of companies that do this as like a year-round strategy?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. It's some people's complete way that they do it, just like your example of your guy. You think that's all he does, and he has 2 trucks.
Yeah, no, I think it's good because it's a little unorthodox. Like it's not an AdWords or something they're calling 3 or 4 people. You're kind of getting a hold of that individual, and it seems like it'd be less competitive.
It's less competitive like at this time because nobody's really working in groups. I'm part of the Liberty Networking group that I told you about right before we like hopped on here, and the president said keep posting in Facebook groups because it's bringing in the members. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I will, because it's what I do, and so it works. I mean, I closed $150,000 from it was October of 2021 to February of 2022 just by
Mhm.
working in Facebook groups.
Wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I created this program called the 777 program. And I think I sold like 21, 22 people that. And it was an annual commitment at $777 a month. But if you had additional minutes, each minute was $1 a minute. So it was like, I think that just the monthly charge would have been like 130. But everybody that I was working with, we all know gutter cleaners get extremely busy during the summer months. So then,
Yeah.
their bill was even higher.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, April, if somebody wants to work with you, what's the best way to contact you?
Sure. So April at BidSlotMarketingCorp.com or 888-718-2437. And you can message me on Facebook or send me an email or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think that everyone should be doing it, especially, the companies just getting in business and they don't really have they can't afford the, a big marketing budget, yet because they don't have repeat business coming in. So to me, this is the way to get business coming in repeat. It's probably the cheapest form of advertisement you could do. Because the clients that you're going to be getting, especially with the calls, you're going after people that are going to keep using you over and over again.
And they all have friends. So,
Mhm.
the property managers, I know they normally, even if they just manage one property, there's meetings that they go to every month with other property managers.
Yep.
And so it's also like an omni channel because it's not only, we also do something called send your info. And that's where they're not agreeing to an appointment or meeting with you, but they said, yeah, Tim can send me an email, and when the time's right, I'll let him know. But our experience is if you have a follow-up with the send info, you'll close 3 more appointments that you didn't even pay us for if you have a good follow-up system in place.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, good deal. Well, I appreciate you coming on here today. I think everyone will get some good information out of that. And yeah, give April a shout.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See
Take
ya.
care. Bye.